irreversible. The only alternative is to reduce the rate of information loss. So perhaps we can retard aging, perhaps we can slow down aging, even though we can't reverse it or understand it. So this is like the prevention versus treatment thing in medicine. Doctors are more interested in treating illnesses. People can't be bothered to prevent illnesses, it's quite difficult. It requires constant attention. And I'm not sure what's new there, let's go on for that. Alright, now here, so the bottom is the new bit. Rejuvenation, regeneration. I just think, just forget about rejuvenation, it's not going to happen. SENS is not going to work for the same reason, it's just a pipe dream. So let's concentrate on retardation. So is there any evidence that we can slow aging? So I'll look at just one example here. Folic acid. You probably know pregnant women are advised to take folic acid before they become pregnant. But the basic way that folic acid works is that it helps cells to replicate. Helps to synthesize thymine here, the nucleotide required for incorporation into DNA. Every time the cells divide, there's a chance that they're going to, if they run short of thymine, what will happen is that they will pick up other molecules, particularly uracil, and that will get incorporated in instead. And then other enzymes will come along to the DNA and think, well, that's a mistake, that shouldn't be there. And they try to then replace it. And that process is also error prone. So what will happen is that there's a risk that the whole chromosome eventually will get broken. And that's what we see. Low folate levels, you get more chromosome breaks. That causes cancer. The reason why you need folate for if you're about to conceive is that, of course, the embryo grows very quickly. Cells divide very quickly as the embryo grows. So it's particularly sensitive to folate deficiency. That is also why women need to eat more varied foods during pregnancy, because the body itself is demanding that you take more micronutrients in to satisfy the growth of the embryo.
Does that explain the strange tastes?
Yes, exactly. That is exactly what. Yes, that's right. And then what we find is that if you give people more folate, the cancer rate induced by cell division goes down because the damage goes down. And then this is one study. Now we can't do intervention trials on people in this very easily, but this is an epidemiological study. They tracked folate use in nurses because nurses do tend to take folate because they're quite medically aware. And they tracked it over a number of years. And here the results, it's all contained in here. This is a summary. So it's what we call a longitudinal study. And initially, in the years up to 0 to 4 years, cancer rate actually went up by a small amount. Now I think the reason for that is that because the folic acid helps cells to divide, so any tumours that were there will grow more quickly. And that is actually used, one of the ways of treating tumours when they exist is to actually block folate pathways in humans. You give people anti-folates. So that is understandable. Cancer rate went up, but after 5 years, the total cancer rate had gone down. And by 15 years, the relative risk was reduced by 78%. And I would like to see a follow-up study on this, see what happens after that, but we don't have that information yet. But the interesting thing is, in absolute terms, there was no increase in the cancer rate after 15 years. You would expect, normally, according to the Gompos curve, cancer rates double about every 8 years, from about 8 to 30 onwards. In these people, taking the extra folate completely stopped that from happening. The cancer rate at the end was the same at the beginning. So what that means is that their genome is not aging. The folate had stopped the genome from degrading.
Mike, could you just, I take folate, but what do you make of the study, that 10-year longitudinal study that showed the rate of prostate cancer in men doubled?
Yes, I've seen things like that. I mean, prostate things, most men by the age of 40 have got prostate cancer. So what could have happened is by taking the folate, you enable those tumours to grow more quickly. I mean, that's one possibility.
It's quite a large well-controlled study from what I recall, that's why I was worried.
I remember reading it at the time. It's not impossible. No, I agree.
What's the sample size of the nurses study?
Oh, I think it was quite large. I don't think I've got the information in here at the moment. No, I haven't got the paper with me, unfortunately. It was very large, but I can't remember now. I mean, if you look at the confidence intervals here, I mean, it's just a statistically significant result that they got. But obviously, you know, the sample size is large, and a small proportion of those got cancer. So all I can say is that it was a significant result. Anyway. Then we can look at how folate behaves with respect to Alzheimer's. Now here, folate seems to protect against Alzheimer's. I haven't got the reference for this one with me, but what they did in the second study here is that they just took blood samples from people, just random people in the study, and then they just looked to see, years later, which one of those, who developed Alzheimer's. And it's the people with the lower levels of folate in the blood. And in the top study, they actually gave folate and B12 to people in the early stages of cognitive dementia. And it seemed to improve people. Lots of different theories about how it works. And here, this is an experiment, those of you involved in cryonics may have heard of Steve Harris. This is the experiment he ran with someone else. They gave massive amounts of folate to mice, and they looked at how long they lived. They also gave them coenzyme Q10. Now this is the control curve here, and this one is the, let's get this right, it looks like the CoQ10 curve, and this is the folate one. So you've got about 18% mean lifespan extension, but no change in maximum lifespan. And of course, this raises the question of, can we believe? Animal models, do they apply to us? I think they do, and this is the reason why. Firstly, they just look like they age the same way that we do. You know, they go blind, their hearing gets worse, they actually suffer some sort of cognitive decline as they get older. They take longer to learn to run through mazes. An old rat takes longer to learn than a young one. They just run around less, they have less energy. And they share either 90% or all the genes, depending on how you define it, with us. I mean, the genes themselves, there are variants. And their control mechanisms for switching on the genes vary a lot, but they share a lot of the genetic code with us. And we're not the longest living mammal. If we, just because a rat lives 3 or 4 years, it doesn't mean to say that that won't be applicable to us. If we can double our rat's lifespan, there's no reason why we can double our lifespan. It's just saying the same thing. Metabolic pathways are always the same. One exception is the processing of ascorbic acid. So ascorbic acid is not a vitamin for most mammals, it is for primates. And it is for fruit bats.
And guinea pigs.
And guinea pigs. Basically, it's animals at some point in their evolutionary past that found they can get all the ascorbic acid they need from their diet. So they just gave up generating themselves, and that's the condition that we're in as well. The point is, how different are we from mice? Now, I've said that we're very closely related. This is an attempt to display the diversity of life. You see here, all the animals are all bunched up in one area here. Most of the diversity of life, we're talking about the genetic diversity here, is made up of bacteria. So animals are all there. We can see we're more closely related to fungi than we are to plants, and that does make sense. Plants produce cellulose as their structural